You are listening to Keith Price's Curtain Call.
That category is that big, and they ignored, I'm going to just say it right now, the Wiz got robbed. We'll talk about in the different places in my mind it got robbed, but this particular category in terms of a featured role,
Deborah Cox could have been in this category.
Deborah Cox could have been in this category, but
Christina
Melody
Santos.
But no,
Yeah,
but Melody
there's
Betts, Melody Betts as Eveline.
Mm.
If it is all about, how they love to give you that one number.
The night I went, it was the understudy went on.
The understudy's good. She's really good, but there is something about when Melody starts that song and just moves through that song, and then the rest of the ensemble, it is a full-on gospel number, and it's huge and it's beautiful, and the voice is forget about it. Just forget about it. And so when I think of like a show where one number is the number that gets that person nominated, that's the show that should have done it for her. But unfortunately, they did not listen to me. So we're gonna be stuck with a fabulous category that's stuffed with really great, talented people. For me, I would give it to Hell's Kitchen just because I'll go in with the trend.
No, stand up for yourself.
But like in terms of the show itself, like, Miss Michelle should have been in this category, but she wasn't, from The Wiz. I think she's adorable. She's fabulous. She sings well. Blah, blah, blah. All of that. A star. She'll be a star with that. And she doesn't need, they don't need the accolades. They need the money and the butts and seats more so. So as long as the butts and seats keep popping, I won't be as mad. But
they're making $1 million every week.
So. Yeah, Keith, what is your take? Why, in just a quick word, why do you think the show was completely shut out, The Wiz?
Because we already have a show that's reaching the quote-unquote diversity inclusion energy with Hell's Kitchen, and having something that's all Black is probably going now. It's sort of like we're trending towards everybody's inclusive now. It's, when you see that show, there's a lot of mixed energy in that particular show, and I think that's what's the appeal for, I should say, the white Tony voters, because they can feel comfortable voting for Alicia Keys because she's great and it's a wonderful show. But The Wiz got robbed. I'm sorry.
Nothing.
Not a ding dang thing. It's like the reverse of The Color Purple musical of the movie when Whoopi Goldberg was in it, where they got all the awards and then it won nothing. They did not give one award, which I cannot believe. Like I said, I could handle the conversations that people have been having about production and how it should have a lot more than what it is if it's on Broadway, blah, blah, blah.
I would have liked to have seen a Yellow Brick Road. I'm just saying.
Or maybe Glenda with a little more smoke at the jump versus just coming out of the front porch like she's back home. Yeah, which on one hand is very Black, but then on the other hand, not so glitzy for Broadway. So I'm torn, because it doesn't matter though, when she makes her appearance that first time, the audience still goes nuts for her. So, production or no, her energy is the right energy for that moment. The thing is for me with it is how you just ignored it altogether. And then hearing that it's about, well, if one of those shows had tied with like either The Who's Tommy or Merrily We Roll Along in numbers of votes, then they probably would have given it the 5th slot. However, as we said this before, remember the year with SpongeBob and all those other plays when they just completely ignored half of the new musicals and not give the opportunity for those places to take the space. It's like they have no idea, they have no intentions of really voting for them. But when you talk about this is supposed to be a commercial business, it's like it makes sense to have a show like The Wiz at least in the best revival category, so that it is being nominated, it is being heard in that level of conversation, so that other people will wind up gravitating toward it. And what's happening right now is Black people are coming to see The Wiz. They're going to show up for The Wiz. And that's part of the guarantee, you know, that's the mix. But it's this particular production now has a different.
I had a Snyder mark and I bit my tongue. I'm sorry.
Well, you know, they coming though. They coming late, but they're coming
late. They coming late.
I'll say it.
I was there for a 7. They came in at 7:30. They came in at
7:45. You know, there was a day that the door was held 20 minutes, and people were still 45 minutes late to the show. But that's a whole other story for another day. Like, they don't care. And the zen part in front of the house is you just know they're going to be late, so you can't get mad. Just like, all right, who's going to get stuck with all the late people first? That's the big question. But again, that show, I feel like it's not being represented to the world the way it should be, because it is a joyous celebration. It is wonderful. It's fun. It's semi-colorful. You know,
it's like, the first revival of the Wiz too. They've been trying to do this show forever.
And
sadly, even though on tour it started getting bad reviews and then word of mouth, but like we said, it's still bringing in $1 million every week, so it's doing well on Broadway.
It's doing well on Broadway.
Yeah,
and so is Back to the Future, but
exactly. You know, but at least they, you know, but Back to the Future, you know, how fierce is that it's managed to survive the summer? You know, nothing else that came out in the summer is still here.
Nope.
Hell,
you know what's funny?
The fall
every time I tell someone who's not in theater that there's a Back to the Future musical, they're like, "Oh, I wouldn't want to see that," but it's the one selling tickets. It's the one selling tickets.
It is a property that people are very connected to.
And if you go with just this mind of, I feel like I'm going to a theme park, it's fun.
It's fun.
It's absolutely fun.
And it goes back to what we were saying earlier, is that there is something on Broadway for everybody now, which is why, on one hand, I wish that the Wiz had gotten that kind of love that, you know, the Tonys could have given it. But at the same time, there is an audience that is hungry for it, and they're showing up for it, and they're buying the tickets for it. And so, you know, I'm glad that it's allowed to still be, you know, and that's what's really the most important thing, because in the end, after the award shows go, half of those shows wind up closing anyway. Right. So,
well, you can't